His name is Krampus. He and his helpers did not come to give, but to take.
I feel like the tone of this is something that's very hard to nail because it's scary, but it's also kind of a fun family movie.
Yeah, that was definitely the intent. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, and I feel like there was a great run of movies that were daring enough to mix genres. And so they would make you laugh and scream all in the same breath, and they just don't make movies like that anymore. So my cohorts and I said, well, why don't we just give it a shot?
We immediately bonded over our love of the 80s Amblin movies, like Gremlins and Poltergeist and these movies that we grew up on. The fact that we both miss those kinds of movies that have a sense of horror to them, but also have a real innocence and sweetness about them. And so he wanted to kind of make it clear that this is the kind of movie he wanted to make. He wanted to make a movie that harkened back to those 80s Amblin movies. And the fact that Michael wanted to go practical with all of the creatures and the effects really got me excited.
I'd never heard of Krampus. I didn't realize Krampus was this kind of ancient, folkloric, demonic Austrian nightmare. And when I read the script, it was just so unusual. I'd never read anything like it, and I'd never really done a film like this, and that in itself was appealing. But I loved it because it kind of jumps around, and you think it's one thing, and then it's really surprising. And as an audience member, as well as, you know, someone who's worked on the film, that's what I look for. I like to be surprised.
I'm a huge horror movie fan, and so I sought out a horror film to do. And I guess Michael was a Fargo fan, and I think he said to someone, I kind of want an Allison Tolman type for that role. And they said, we know her, we can give her this script. So then it came across my desk, and I got to read it and sort of fell in love straight away.
Tell me a little about working with practical effects, which is one of the very cool things about this movie.
It's one of my favorite things about this movie, and one of the things that really sold me on it was that they kind of wanted to not do so much CGI and do these practical effects. And to bring in Weta Workshop to build these creatures was just genius, and I think really helped make the film.
It really makes it so much easier to have the real thing in front of you. And Michael would often hide the creatures or the puppets or the masks or whatever from the cast until we're rolling. So the first time we actually see the creature is when he's getting our reaction to it. And those reactions are in the movie because we couldn't believe some of the things he and the Weta Workshop had come up with.
I believe comedy and horror are two sides of the same coin, and they go really well together. You can use the comedy to get your audience comfortable and relaxed and like your characters, and then just do terrible things with those characters. So comedy is a great way to relieve tension for a moment and then scare your audience once their guard is down.
When you're filming a movie that isn't actually being shot at Christmas time, do you maintain a festive spirit throughout?
I just had to trick myself that it was Christmas. So every day I woke up and ran out into the living room of the apartment I was living in, and I opened like a big pile of Christmas presents. My kids were with me, so we had to buy them a whole new round of presents every day just to convince myself that it was Christmas time. It was incredibly expensive and logistically almost impossible because we were in New Zealand, and in New Zealand there's no gift giving, so there's no wrapping paper in any of the stores. It was crazy, but worth it because I think it shows in my performance that I think it's Christmas.
He is the shadow of St. Nicholas.
It's Christmas. Nothing bad's gonna happen on Christmas.